I knew it was always a passion. What made me want to pursue it as a career, um, and he was something that was like he had Alzheimer's or a dementia, I guess. And so when I was, I'd be there helping him out. We would just go sit in his wood shop and just look through his photo albums because he couldn't run any machines anymore. So we would just talk. And the one thing he loved is when I was building stuff, he just enjoyed watching me build stuff. And so that's something that kind of got it going. And I was already doing my remodeling at the time, and running the remodeling. So I thought, this is this is one of the things I enjoy the most. They say pursue your passion, and you never work a day. And that was for me. I felt like not work. It's very soothing to me, and it's something that I enjoy. It's almost like art.
Welcome to the Roll Up and Roll Out podcast. Sit down with blue-collar business owners and inspired entrepreneurs to get the industry insights from the leaders that grow our local communities and learn how to scale your business. Regardless of GED, these people know how to GSD. Here is your host, Paul Childers. Let's get to work.
Welcome back to another episode of Roll Up and Roll Out, where we interview and have a conversation with blue-collar business owners who may or may not have a GED, but they all know how to GSD, get shit done. Today we have Alex Stockton with Creative Interiors, right? Crafted Interiors.
Crafted interior.
Crafted Interiors. Sorry about that. I'm getting better at remembering those things, but it's like when you do these live, you always forget little bits. So, Alex, thanks for coming on the show. Tell me a little bit about your background and yourself and what got you into doing the things that you're doing.
Thanks for having me. Well, a little background about myself is I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. My dad's a entrepreneur, and so I really had that vein kind of in me from a young age, and every discussion was talking about, how would you do differently, and how would you do this to be more successful and things like that. And so I always knew I was going to be an entrepreneur. I didn't know necessarily what I was going to do, but I always knew that I was going to work for myself. I had a little bit of a problem with authority also. So I didn't like to listen to other people. So there's just a lot of things leading to me working for myself. But what got me into it is I actually started a clothing company first off the bat. I was in a point where my job wasn't keeping up with bills, and it was either find something new to do or make something happen. And so I the job, and I went all in on a moving company, not because I wanted to do a moving company, but because I saw numbers and I thought of you talked about no school degree. I did not 2 years of college, and I'd say I went to a lot less than what my record showed, because I went there to wrestle and not to go to school. And so I didn't do much schooling during those 2 years or showed up to class. So I dropped out of school after 2 years and went working. So I got into that moving company. It was, what can I do without a degree and without any knowledge of an industry, and figure out how to make money doing it. And so I got into the moving world. I mean, I was getting furniture and doing residential and commercial moving. And I got about 15 employees with that company. Grew pretty quick, and honestly too quick. I didn't have systems in place, things like that. And so that business ended up failing. I had ran into some issues with a business partner, as well as, just lack of management on my end on what I needed to do. Ended up closing that down right before COVID hit. And so that gave me the bug to say, this is my passion, this is my calling. It's not just working for myself, but creating a business and doing something hopefully more that I like, but just being an entrepreneur was the passion. So when COVID hit, I had to figure out what am I going to do for a living, and that's why I decided. I've always worked construction jobs growing up, off and on. There was kind of always like a backup in a sense. So I'd try out financial advisor, I tried out sales, I did all these things. I kept going back to construction, and I decided let's just go in on construction and do that. So I actually opened up a company a remodeling company back in Kansas City area in one of the suburbs there, Gardner, Kansas, and opened up a remodeling company without much experience on what I was doing, except the fact that I know how to research, I know how to look at YouTube videos, I know how I figure things out. And I figured for lack of experience, I can always be cheaper than other people and still make more than any job could pay me if to go get a job. So I got into that and uh, learned a lot. I realized that I'm pretty dang good at this. Are we able to cut on here at all?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Oh yeah, I realized I was pretty damn good with construction, and so I got into it, and we started to figure out what do I enjoy doing, what am I best at doing, and how do I fine tune that down. Initially, I was doing windows and doors and siding and exterior painting, and then I got into doing some carpet and flooring, and then I've kind of since then transition to what I'm good at, what what I'm best at, and what I enjoy the most, which is bath and kitchen remodels. The custom cabinetry that I also do, that's based at my grandfather was a woodworker, and he taught me at a young age, woodworking, and so making furniture and building cabinets is something that I've that's just a passion of mine personally, and I decided if I love doing it so much and I have the tools to do it, let's market it. And so, that's kind of where the custom cabinetry came from. It's just something that I personally love to do, and that's my passion. So I've a couple walk-in humidors, um, just some random furniture and decor things, but really the custom cabinetry or just replacing people's cabinets. They want a new cabinet to look this way in their kitchen. We're doing a kitchen remodel, and they want these these drawers instead, so I don't have to buy new cabinets. I can kind of cut costs there by just making the drawers, making the doors, and changing boxes if I need to. That's kind of where I throw in my own little with my business. That kind of separates you from other companies.
Sure. So I mean, not only are you able to um do the remodeling, but you're also able to craft kind of unique fixtures and space saver stuff for those people while you're doing it. So really, you're almost taking it to another level of like being involved because you can do it from like top to bottom and really kind of control that process. Because what I see happen a lot is people will start off with flooring or whatever, and then they go and get their cabinets done, and it's not always through the same like through the same people or through the same process. And then what happens is there's just like variations and something just seems like it's off, where you're really able to just really create a unique experience for your customers by doing everything and managing it and knowing that you're going to be able to match everything up and it's all going to look the way you want it to and the way the customer wanted to. I mean, is that kind of what sets you apart basically?
Yeah, and the ability to just add extra designs. Like I'm having a customer right now. I'm redoing their kitchen cabinets, and instead of just having uh, the kind of basic size drawers that we were able to find in stock, I'm custom building their drawers to fit their specific dishes they want to go in there those cabinets. And we're customizing their pantry because of what they put on that shelf and how they want to be able to access it. I'm able to customize it to just really fit their individual needs and really make the kitchen, I believe, is the heart of the house. And I really think that's where those memories are made. That's where people, that's where uh, a lot of family time is spent. And I think that having it work for you and be fit to you and how you use it, it adds a little more hominess to it and really makes it yours. And so I think that's what separates me is that ability to customize and really help design for kitchen to meet your needs instead of just having a beautiful kitchen.
Yeah. That's really cool. I think that when I was in college, I took a year off because I didn't really know if I wanted to finish it. And I worked for a company called Dura Supreme. Not sure if you've heard of them. I'm sure you have. They do cabinet making. They do it like at a factory level, though, right? But that's kind of one of the things I I saw there was, yeah, we make some kind of cool cabinetry, but it's all like spec'd, you know. There is some little custom stuff, but that, you can only customize so much stuff online or, you know, with a quick in call where somebody comes and just looks at stuff. Where like, I think what's cool about the stuff that you do is like you're there, you're walking through the process, and then you're also like figuring out ways to make that space more functional versus like making it look nice, which I think gets left out a lot. I mean, we Americans, I think, are probably more guilty of this than anybody else, but we don't do really well at maximizing space and utilization in any of our rooms for the most part. Like, there's just a lot of stuff that you're just like, oh, that I don't know why they put that in. That's stupid. But so that's cool that you're able to do that. Like what I know you said your grandpa did woodworking. At what stage of your life when you were working with him did you go, man, this is something that I really just kind of enjoy doing? You said you worked some other jobs, but do you think that woodworking was kind of your calling all along and you just hadn't quite gotten to that point yet?
Absolutely. I can pinpoint it back to when I was 8, 9 years old, and every time I go out to he had a acreage, and every time I go out to his acreage, I'd run into a shop, I'd make myself a wooden sword. And that was my thing. And I'd break that sword by the time I was done there, I'd go make a new one next time. And so that ability that really put it into me where I built birdhouses and pencil holders and did you help cage elves and all these different things growing up. To where it was definitely I knew it was always a passion. What made me want to pursue it as a career, um, and he was at the end of his life, he got Alzheimer's and or a dementia, I guess. And so when I was I'd be there helping him out. We would just go sit in his wood shop and and just look through his photo albums because he couldn't run any machines anymore. So we would just talk and the one thing he loved is when I was building stuff, he just enjoyed watching me build stuff. And so that's something that kind of got it going. And I was already doing my remodeling at the time, and running the remodeling. So I thought, this is this is one of the things I enjoy the most. They say pursue your passion, and you never work a day. And that was for me. I felt like not work. It's very soothing to me, and it's something that I enjoy. It's almost like art. Um, and so because I also do furniture and things like that, and so it's definitely more like an art than a job. And so it was kind of during that time that I decided like let's figure out how do I monetize this, and how do I get it to a point that I can do woodworking as a career. And so that's where I've kind of the cigar humidors I've talked about. I've like have building myself a niche in that market. I've custom, they're modular humidors where they're built-in pieces that I can ship them out or install it myself. And but it's a full modular system. So kind of creating a niche there where that's all woodworking. I've even built windows and doors, like exterior and interior doors, the really exterior doors, like your front door, and custom built doors, things like that. Because I figuring out where can I throw my own twist of for woodworking into a job. And sometimes it's the last two windows and door were because I was trying to save on lead time. I want to wait for the whole lead time, and so I said, let's just build them. And I was able to build windows and doors that are sure better quality and were honestly cheaper also. And I was able to get them there within within a week. I had windows and doors. So
That's the funny part, right? It's like you what the heck? My wife and I were out doing, I think, grocery shopping or whatever, and you just kind of look around at stuff and you go, man, the quality on this is a lot better than some of the stuff, but yet it's cheaper. Like it's to me, it's kind of like, well, when did that get out of balance with some of the way things are like expensed right now? Where somebody can handcraft something at a cheaper price than like a factory made piece of whatever. It's still bizarre to me because that's not how it should be. But that's really cool that you're able to do some of that stuff for your customers. Now, I know before we started recording, you had mentioned that you guys had just moved and relocated. So you probably had somewhat of a customer base where you used to live, correct? So tell me, and I know you haven't been in Minnesota that long now, but tell me just kind of what that move kind of signifies for you. And is it going to allow you to kind of drop some of the things that you didn't enjoy doing and now just really be able to, I mean, you've got a whole new market of people that don't know you. So you kind of get to, you already did a test trial of this business, know that it kind of works and how you want it to work. Now you get to do it where you're just doing the things that you really love. Is that something that you're kind of excited about, when you start establishing yourself in a new market?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm consider it a helicopter mentality. You can drop me off anywhere in the world, and I'm gonna figure out how to make it happen. Get shit done. Anywhere you put me, I'm gonna get shit done. And it's just it can't stop a determined person. And so that's where this business actually further remodeling in Kansas City. And then I've relocated it as soon as I got to a point where I was doing good. I had a lot of word of mouth. I mean, I've never done marketing. I've never made ads, so it's all been word of mouth or maybe a Facebook post on a local group, but typically it's word of mouth where I get my job. And they word of mouth started picking up. I had a lot of work, and we decided to pack up and relocate to Colorado because the mountains were calling, and we really wanted to live in Colorado. So I kind of had a test run already to say, okay, can I redo what I already did, and get that business back to that same point. And we went to Colorado. We only lived there for a year and a half. We just decided that, um, but like I said, we have our first kid on the way, and we wanted to be closer to family. So um, we in Colorado, the year and a half, I got to a point that I built up a recognition for myself. I had a good following, good customer base. So I was never without work. I mean, it was every. I think I laid in 60% of my jobs, and so it was very good word of mouth that was spreading. And then we decided let's pack up and head out. So that was I've now had two trial runs. This is where we plan on staying for my career. So we finally found a spot that feels like home, and we said let's make this happen. So I'm very excited to go back to what you were saying about kind of getting rid of the stuff I don't enjoy doing. I'm very excited for that because I was able to, before we even moved out here, I started, I put out a couple, just simple posts on local Facebook groups, and I was able to really fill my schedule, pretty quickly. And so, there's a need for work and there's a need for the work that I enjoy doing. I made a post. I didn't make a general post. I made it specifically on bath kitchens and more importantly, custom cabinetry, because that's really what I would one day hope to transition to where, um, I have subs doing bath and kitchens, and I'm just supplying the cabinetry myself. But what that's kind of down the road, one of those little things there. But um, this gets me the ball in the right path with the right customer base, and not having to market myself as of a jack of all trades, because I don't do carpet anymore. I decided that it's not worth my time. My time was more valuable than carpet prices, and some people can really scale it. Carpet was not where I was making money. So I dropped all exterior work, and really have honed it down to bathrooms and kitchens, over the last 6, 7 months.
Yeah, that's good. I think what happens sometimes is people get, even business owners who are just kind of naturally, like, we kind of exist outside of our comfort zone, but we still find a comfort zone. And sometimes that comfort zone contains things that we really don't enjoy doing, and we don't want to give them up because we're like, money's still coming in, might as well collect it. Where the kind of funny part about that is, if you would just, I guess, have the fortitude to cut off some of the services that you provide that you don't enjoy doing and just focus on the things that you really enjoy doing, you would probably actually find yourself making far more money, helping more customers, and being a lot more satisfied with your job than just being comfortable with what you have, right? But that does kind of seem to be a piece of entrepreneurship that is kind of not a common thing. Where what you're doing, where you're kind of you're completely comfortable just being a suitcase entrepreneur, and you're going to make it wherever you go. And it kind of the cool part about that is each time you do it, you get to kind of just drop some stuff off that you were like, I didn't really need to do this. I'm not going to do it moving forward. I'm just going to focus on this area. Well, nobody knows you around here, so now you get to do that. Now they're going to get to know you as Alex, the custom cabinet guy, not the remodeling and all the other stuff, and really allow you to just focus and hone in on that one piece of things that you really, really, really find a lot of enjoyment from, which is kind of cool. So, are your plans then with this? Is this something that are you going to want to like scale it, or is this something where you're just going to kind of make it your own little thing, grow it to where you're comfortable and content, and just kind of ride it out, and then when you're done, you're done?
I've for the last 5 years, I've been under the impression that I just wanted to have my stuff taken care of. It was more so the freedom that having control of my own schedule applied. I could work when I want to work, take the jobs I want to take, things like that, and I could take the days off that I wanted to take without someone relying on me. We when my grandfather had dementia, we went out there for 5 weeks and we're helping take care of him, and that's something that I had employees at the time. If I only had a few employees, I would not have been able to take 5 weeks off. At least it's where my mindset was. I would not have been able to take 5 weeks off because of that, and they would have needed me to be there bidding jobs and doing all that because I wear all the hats. And so, um, under the impression that I wanted to do it on my own and not have employees anymore. Because I used to have a couple employees, and I would kind of my final thing. I said, I'm doing it for myself, and I'll make enough money to live the life we want to live and not have to rely. This year has been really the last 6 months. My wife is 6 months pregnant, our first kid. When I found out she was pregnant, all of a sudden this fire got lit under my butt, and I really a whole perspective on this has changed. I want a business that I can make money on without having to play every role and without having to devote as much time. And so, I'm really this year, 2024. I've been talking to a few guys with the win rate coaching team, and I'm not a paying client of theirs, but I told them this year, by the end of the year, I will be a paying client. And on top of that, I've just had a lot of great conversations with them, listened to their full podcast also, and a lot of information from that, implemented it. So this year is going to be a year where I'm really looking to scale, and I plan on scaling with subs, not hired, not employees. I think that there's a lot of value and benefit to subs, and so I'm going to be scaling there. But that's kind of moving here to Minnesota has now that is the main shift that I'm taking with my business is in Colorado Springs. It was known for me and my wife. We work together. She helps me on a lot of jobs, and so we're kind of a husband-wife team. And this really transitioning now to a full-on company, not owning my own job kind of thing. And so really looking to scale it this year. My goal is within the next 3 years to be grossing $1 million, which really I think I can make that happen within a year and a half, 2 years at most. But I'm giving myself that third year just because I rather get my goal than to get myself and have to push it back out again. And just that conquering of that goal, 3 years, I think is a good goal there. And so that's kind of a process at the moment. My mindset has shifted in the last 6 months to 100% devoted to growth and scaling this company at this point.
That's really cool, and that's a cool focus that you've been able to get, and I think there is a point too where having kids and planning for kids and what that looks like does change kind of perspective as well. Um, either what I've seen is it either changes it from wanting to really scale to just, toning it back down to where you're just managing it, containing it, able to make good money and living and have that extra freedom because you know that you want to have that time with the kids, to being that person that kind of was just content with where you're at to like really wanting to scale it because you want to grow it to the point where you don't have to be in it and it will thrive on its own. And then your kids will either have the option of stepping in and taking over it, or at least have that, income that came from you being able to scale and exit it at, a higher level. And then they can use that, down the road for whatever. Right. So I think there's some cool things that you're thinking there. One last question here before we wrap it up. What is the one thing in business that you have, outside of the actual like work you're doing? Like, what is the one thing about business, being a business owner, that you have truly enjoyed the most in your years of experience doing this?
Um, say two things. Uh, the freedom is one, just the freedom of in my own boss and being able to. I've always been feeling to lead and to make decisions and to be able to actually put my lead and make decisions for myself, kind of thing. So that freedom is huge. But honestly, yeah, I think the more and almost a cliche answer, failure. I maybe it's because I wrestled my whole life and it's just that background that I have, but I enjoy failing because it means that I'm still trying new things and I'm still trying to um push that needle further. And I have failed a lot. There's a lot of things I failed on it, but every time I failed, I've learned a ton. I've readjusted, reattacked, and it's gotten to a point now where um, I'm failing a lot less now, and I'm doing a lot better. And are able to hit these things where I put them in the right baskets, do what I need to simply because of those failures. And so I think my favorite thing about working for myself has been the opportunity to fail and to learn from those, so that way I'm able to what I want to do with its vehicle.
Cool. Now that's actually a really good perspective to have, and I think that's a perspective that a lot of entrepreneurs share. Is they're not afraid to fail. They're not afraid to try something and see if it works, and if it doesn't, whatever. We've got a strong resilience and we got a strong confidence in our own abilities to be able to pick something back up and try and make it work again. So I appreciate you sharing that perspective, and I appreciate you being on today and sharing kind of your background and what you're doing. If somebody that, perhaps is listening, and especially now in the Minnesota area, were to be interested in some of the services you provide, and maybe I know you said you ship some stuff too, but I don't know how far you go. But what's the best way to reach out to you to find out exactly what that is and all the stuff you have to offer?
Currently, it would be probably Facebook is where I'm most active, and it would be my personal Facebook. I'm currently rebranding my business currently at the moment, so haven't got my Facebook transitioned over to the new name. But in the next a week, I will have all that taken care of. So crafted interiors in about a week. You can find it on Facebook, but otherwise just Alex Stockton on Facebook, and that's where I'm most active. And I'll make sure I respond to everyone.
That sounds good, Alex. Again, I appreciate you having coming on the show and taking time out of your day to be a guest. So thank you for that.
So much for having me.